ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good morning, good morning. Look at Boots hang with the. I don't want to call it a fedora, but
You call it. I just call it my little poolside straw hat. My little
man,
poolside straw hat.
the
You
man knows
know.
his way around a haberdashery for sure.
I had a little puff. I
Yeah.
had I had my shades on, but the problem is I can't read the screen to see what comments we
Oh,
have, so I had to take them off and all that good stuff. But
you
no,
falling
you know,
apart, brother. You falling apart.
we talk about like travel vacations. I got my little palm
Yeah.
trees, and oh gosh, do I miss that? Do I miss that?
I mean, look like you already ready to go somewhere. I know I am. I'm with you, brother. But it is what it is. Let's not be negative about it. Let's just use this opportunity, I guess, this year of 2020 to plan and be ready for when we can get back out there and do what it is we do. And I mean, I think this is a great idea that you and Grace had, that talk about travel, talk about not just the destination, right, but talk about the work that it requires to get to the destination, right? All of the planning, all of the budgeting, and all of the just the behind the scenes stuff. So tips and tricks today, right, baby, for traveling from two old school dudes.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, the extent of me and my hat and glasses is going out in the backyard and sitting and throwing on the grill and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, when we talk about the pandemic and the impact of travel, I think you're spot on. We have to start to think beyond it, and what are we going to do to get back to normal? And the tips aren't going to go away, right? So I think we need some participation today. So those people that are online,
Oh,
yeah,
call to action from Mr.
oh
Butterini,
my
ladies
God.
and gentlemen. Oh, I mean, I see all the metrics. I see we got the audience is here. They just don't be nervous. Don't be nervous, y'all. We this is a family show. I promise not to say anything, any four-letter words except trip, pack, you know,
Darn, darn.
all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But here's the thing about today, though, James. I think which is good is that we talk about old school tips, and when we talk about travel, there are some old school travel tips that I think we can stick to that really haven't changed in many, many years. And then there are some new travel tips that I know of, that Grace knows of, Jessica, others that hopefully can chime in to help people as they start to think about, escaping in the near future. So, you and I are setting our ways, old
Pretty much.
school ways, right?
So,
But I think,
so it'll be interesting to talk about how you and I see this. And I left this comment up from Jess, who recently traveled from the Bay Area down to Southern California. So, kind of her methodology for travel versus what you and I, and Jen and Grace would kind of do. Would be interesting
yeah,
to talk.
very, 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 very true. And the funny thing is, this is perfect timing because the last two shows we've talked about saving money and finance and budgeting and things like that. And this show is going to be about how do we spend it, right?
How we just
So,
spending the money.
yeah. You save it, you invest it, all that stuff we heard about. If you didn't watch it, shame on you. Go to YouTube and check them out. Revy being one. Welcome, Revy, to the show. And but for today, we're going to talk about how to spend it and create experiences for you, your friends, and family versus just having it all socked away, trying to save. So it should be a good one. It should be a good one.
Hey, I'm just gonna say, man, if the financial world doesn't work out, you may have a second dual career in the travel agency because you sold that pretty darn well.
Well, and it's funny
The new
because
Bob Barker of travel.
yeah, and travel is different for everyone, right? I mean, travel, and we could talk about this later on too, but just in general, just to kick it off, I mean, travel, we're not talking about traveling to Australia for 3 weeks and spending $35,000. We're also going to talk about, Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about, Jessica and Eli traveling down to see some grandparents in Southern Cal and Vegas and going in their truck and staying at their house. I mean, what? It's going to cost them $300-400 for two
Yeah.
weeks to travel. I mean, so there's a mixture of both. But one thing I will say, don't wait, right? So that's, I mean, I know we're jumping into a tip, but some people just wait to travel, and we can talk about that too. Don't do some things that you should be doing now for later.
I tell you, yeah. Let's go. I kind of wrote some of the things down in order, and we'll
Yeah,
definitely hit that. But I think let's start from literally the beginning and the prep. One thing that's relevant now, even before you get to the debark location, the airport, wherever the case may be, something that's relevant today is, do you have all your paperwork together? Right. So everyone needs
yeah,
to have the real ID now. You can't
yeah,
leave your city if you don't have a real ID. You got to have, if you're flying across some continent, you got to have your passport together. If you got to get your passport updated, get on that list early. Look, you can't just walk into the post office or wherever in your city that they do passports that day and expect to get something done in 10 minutes. How long, what's the longest you've had to wait in line? Well, you guys are probably exceptional, but what's the longest you've had to wait in line to get like your passports updated?
So yeah, for me, I mean, I know we'll ask the other two. Well, first of all, good point on the real ID, because I did mine about a year and a half ago. I got hers a couple weeks ago. It was quick, it was easy, but you got prepared. You got to go online, go to the DMV, and figure out all the proper paperwork. My parents did it about 6 months ago, and that will help you domestically, right? So the real ID will help you travel domestically, starting. I think it's like, well, Gloria said it's extended until October 2021. So that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gloria, for that tip, because with COVID, it was difficult to get that done. So that's good. But don't wait. Get in there and get it done now. Jessica just did it 2 weeks ago with COVID, made an appointment, it was done. But that's going to be a big deal. The passport, you can use it for domestic if you don't want to get a real ID, or international. And I just renewed mine recently, and it took like 3 weeks. But again, my last name is Butterini. When they do
Uh-oh.
those background checks, there's not a whole lot of Butterinis floating around. Maybe a few crazy Butterinis. But if your name is Tom Jones, it's going to take 6 weeks. So anyway.
Well, and so that's a whole separate subject, because literally, I don't know if my father-in-law is watching. For the longest period of time, and his last name is Raymond. In the longest time, he was on the no-fly list, dude. So every time they go to the airport, get ready to go on a trip to wherever, Egypt, Korea, Africa, wherever, they look at his passport and be like, "Oh, Mr. Raymond, we're going to have a little secondary conversation with you, young man." So yeah, again, your name can be whatever the case may be, or just the planning piece. Jen makes a great analogy right here. The last time we did our passport updates, we literally had to wait for like 5 hours because so many people were there. It was like right before the summertime, right? So passports expire at a specific amount of time throughout the course of them, and everyone's, I think, in Sacramento, it's expired at the same time. Kids got to go to the bathroom. We're standing in line. We're there half of the morning just trying to get these 4 things signed, and just plan for it. I would just say just plan for it for sure, folks.
Yeah, I'm back, man. I'm sorry, man.
What's wrong with that internet down there? At least I was
Well,
still talking.
yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. You got to plan for stuff like that too. And we're going to talk about technology on our next show, because I need to figure out which internet to be on when you got two internets going. But anyway, sorry about that, bro.
That's true. That's right. Now, did you hear anything that I said about the planning and the waiting in line with kids when you're trying to get your passport renewed?
I did. I mean, you've got to plan for that. You got to plan for all the trips. Kiyomi waited 3 weeks for hers. Revi's months. It just depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta plan. You gotta plan. Yeah, Revi, you do need an extra background check, boy. I know you, man.
That's hilarious. So that's one thing, right? So plan for that, especially even before you get to your location. Add that into your overall scheduling. Now we're at the airport, get ready to fly. So we haven't even got to the destination yet. We're at the airport, or we're at the debarkation station. I keep saying debark because look, I'll give it away. My favorite way to travel and take vacations is cruising. I'm sorry, it is. That's just the way I am. But that can be strenuous. That can be incredibly stressful. Just sitting there and waiting, even at an airport. Driving to the airport, you're trying to get to the airport. You're trying to get into the airport. Find your gates. Find your ticket agents. What are your thoughts about that? How do you guys do that? Again, I mean, I'm sure you already have your tickets already printed out before you get to the gate, but if you got to check in baggage, do you have kind of a plan of action that you do for that whole aspect?
Well, I personally, although Grace gets very frustrated with me, but I
Mm,
like to give a good amount of time before I even get to the counter. So why I just don't like rushing. I don't like stress. And I traveled a lot for work before COVID. That is for sure. And I can tell you, between I have Clear, I have TSA
yeah.
PreCheck, and all that good stuff, which helps you. But in preparation, if you have to check your bags, obviously the tip is get there a little bit early because you never know what the bag line is going to look like. If they're too long, one good tip is to just unload it out front. Use those. I forget what do they call those people out front. The bell, maybe the
I don't.
bell.
I've seen them.
What
I've
the heck
never
are those
used those
called?
folks
Sky
because
caps. Are they sky caps?
I don't know who they are though. Right? Again, that could just be you and me, Dwayne and Sherman out there, right? Just trying to gaffle somebody for their bags, and I don't know, brother. I'd rather
Hey,
go in, get a piece of well, they used to have candy up there when you
yeah.
give them your bags, but okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I've used it several times when I'm in a rush, and I've never had a problem. So they're out there. If you're in a rush, go inside. If you're not, and frankly, make sure that all your weight is all balanced out. We're going to talk about packing and stuff,
Oh, we
but
can
make
talk. Let me
sure
take. Yeah, where's my
you
wife
know what
at?
I
Yeah,
mean.
let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure Jen's got 50 pounds in each,
Dude,
unless you have status, and then if you have status, it doesn't really matter.
yeah.
So that kind of stuff.
Well, if we don't, well, Southwest doesn't have much of a status with it. She is A list. I will say that because she travels a lot, but and I don't know if it's still a weight limit on Southwest. Unless we're flying like United or Delta with it. But that 50 pound, no, brother, no. I purposely. So again, old school tip here: men or what, pack significantly lighter than your significant other before. That way you can transfer their stuff into yours, or you can have room for all the extra stuff that you all end up buying when you
Yeah,
come back home. So I
yeah.
packed like 30 pounds worth of stuff in mine just to be ready for when Jen packs. I love her. I love you, babe. I know she's watching. Hair dryers, shoes, a hat for the morning, a hat for the afternoon. I love it, but that's the fun of that's some of the fun of it too.
Well,
Um,
the fun of it is that Jen realizes it. That's why she says it's a true story, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. You got to know that. But again, when you get to that counter, have your ID out. You got to have that. You got to have your boarding pass, and you got to have your 50 pounds all figured out. You see those people that go up there and they've got 70 pounds here, 80 pounds here. They're digging for their ID. It's like, it just takes forever. It's just like what drives me crazy is people who don't plan
yeah,
and think about these things in advance. And I have respect for first time travelers. Don't get me wrong. They got to learn. But
yeah,
outside of that, it drives me nuts. But
yeah,
then once you get past that, and you get to how to get through security, man, the TSA pre-check is a
That's no joke.
no-brainer.
Yeah, that's no
Oh,
joke. So before
yeah.
we get to that, let me add one quick thing, because behind the
Yeah.
scenes we got our special guest who has stated on that, in that carry-on, make sure you have essentials, you have your medications, you have your paperwork and your identification and all that. Don't don't accidentally put those through the turnstile and have those go in the belly of the plane. Make sure you have all of those essential things, um, especially if there's some delays, as we're getting ready to talk to you about some other things. So yeah. So TSA pre-check. You got clear. Uh, I've got TSA pre. I don't have clear. I've thought about getting global entry. Do you have global entry?
I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and here, the thing about all that is it depends on the frequency of when you travel, how often you travel, right? So SFO has a good idea, Gloria, handheld scale. We got that too. That's another big tip, so you don't have to worry. But could you give that tip to all these travelers that don't do that at the gate? Yes, let's do that. But it depends on how often, right? So some credit card companies offer free TSA pre-check and global entry each year. So look for credit. So look for various credit cards that you have or that you're investigating. And I know this isn't about finance, but you can get them free through a credit card reward benefit. I know we do at Wells. We have cards that have those benefits. But anyway, if you have to pay for it, it's got to make sense.
You went into a little sales pitch for the company there just now. I don't know. I saw you change just now. I literally saw it in your eye.
Yeah, well, Amex has it. Other companies have it. Just wherever you are. I don't want to push that, but just wherever. But you have to use it, right? So
yeah.
Clear. I don't even know. I think Clear maybe $100 a year. It's quite costly. Yeah. But I went to SFO every other week. So every other week I would fly through Clear, and it was useful for me. If you travel 2 times a year, don't get Clear. Just wait in line. If you travel twice a year, I frankly don't even know if you pay for TSA pre-check. But if you're up there 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, TSA gets you through quicker. You don't have to take out your laptop, take off your shoes, take off your belt, and all that other stuff. It's pretty quick and easy. So all of those things that they're allowing us to do now are really good as long as you utilize them, and it makes economic sense too. I think, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So we've left the house. We're to the airport. We're actually on the plane, and we're headed to our location.
Oh no! You're
not there. I'm trying to get to. Look, I'm supposed to be in Spain and Morocco in like 3 weeks. So that's where my head is. Not you're bringing me back. Okay, where you got, brother?
Yeah. Well, we forgot about Gloria's reminding us of global as well. I forgot about that one, where when you come back from an international destination you quickly go through. A cute story about Grace, real quick. So when we first got global entry, we're coming back from somewhere, I can't remember where, and you have to stand up and take your photo to get through global, to then hand it to the agent to then get you through. Yeah. And she's 5 feet tall, and the camera's set at like 5'4". So she had to stand up, and they got this much of her head the first time she went through. So
okay, I need you to pause, because that is. It's garnering more reaction behind stage right now, because of the person that's involved. So we've got to bring this person on stage right now. Shouts out! What's happening, Mama G?
That is a true story. I'm dying laughing because literally it only got this much, and so then from there, every time we've come back now, I'm hopping up to try to get into the photo, and I finally go and hand it to the guy, and they don't even check. They're just dying laughing because they know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's like lower the camera, like lower the camera or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
I can see you, Tim. Right there, Grace. When you guys walk to hey, I got this, baby. Tim's like, my wife. Can you guys just lower the camera just a little bit? So.
Oh, God.
No, I'm gonna go behind her and pull her up.
Yeah, as I'm getting in the
Okay.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Oh God, that is
So Grace,
hilarious.
welcome in front of the camera there. We needed you for that laugh just in and of itself. We needed you specifically for that. But look, you've got behind the scenes on some of these trips and tips that we want to talk about. So
Yeah, and one of the big things you guys just covered was on your packing, your luggage, and the big thing is make sure you have some form of a carry-on with your medicines. Very important for those who have to take stuff because and some other essentials. I always have like my toothbrush and things like that, maybe mascara and some more hoops, but
gotta have that.
the last thing you want is for your luggage to go missing, however it happens, and you not have the important stuff, your meds, gotta have it. So always remember that.
Good point.
That's good. That's good stuff. See, that's why we brought you in there because look, I'll just rush the kids to the airport and get in line. Make sure you better have some clean underwear, Isaiah, and so we can get on this plane without any problems.
Oh, go ahead, Grace.
I was gonna say you could put those inside out, forwards.
we haven't got to that point yet. No, we haven't had to get to that level yet. But it's been close. I don't know for who, but no, it's been close.
Yeah.
Well, and Grace just brought up a memory. Like we've had our luggage not lost, but we've had it going down on a cruise. It took it missed the plane and had to get on other ones, and then things like that. So late luggage and those types of things. But when I flew with Grace to New York for an NCAA basketball tournament, we decided to check our carry-ons just because we didn't want to have to bother with it. And my carry-on was stolen at in New York. I can't remember, it was LaGuardia or wherever, but it was stolen.
Wow.
And I had nothing. I had my backpack and I had to go get toiletries and clothes and all the stuff, and still rooted for the Rams to make it through the tournament. But I mean, so you never know what's going to happen, man. You better hold on to whatever you need to hold on to, because you never know. So I forgot about that one.
2 stories about that. I'll say the funny one first. I'll ask the question. So did you have your peanut butter sandwich with you?
Okay. So James is a smart aleck, and guess what? And he just brought up something that I'm addicted to, which is in my backpack, having a lot of snacks. Because we didn't talk about before you get on the plane and eating and the expense of bottled waters that you have to buy once you get through security and all that expense before you get on the plane. But I always carry a ton of stuff in my backpack, power bars. But I always carry my token 2 half peanut butter sandwiches, half, not full, half, in case I have to share. And I use them 50% of the time. I use them. The other 50% I toss them in the trash. So that's my deal.
I had to bring it. And so and the second thing that I was going to talk about is makes a lot of sense, definitely, about having your stuff on you secure, because give a shout out to my mother-in-law, right? They do a lot of traveling, right? Globally. And she wears these over the shoulder secure backpacks, so that everything is close. Like they were in, I believe, Europe, Paris or somewhere, right when a lot of this stuff was coming up about folks jacking you for your stuff. So, I mean, she wears the over the chest harness type of thing that's where she's got everything real close to her, so no one can come pickpocket her or cut her back pocket and make keys or anything fall out. So you got to take all of those things into consideration, right? Yeah, you're going out to do a great trip, you're going to go have a great time, but you got to think about a lot of those things, especially about safety for yourself before you go out and be prepared for that. I think the moral of today, even though we haven't even finished, the moral is be safe so you can go out there and actually have a good time.
And plan.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, you've got to plan in advance. I mean, you can do those quick little getaway weekends, which are fun, hop up to Reno, cruise over here to wherever, Monterey, but you've got to plan those big ones in advance and eliminate all that stress. So Grace and Gloria, who's chiming in a lot too, they are relentless planners, and it makes a huge, huge difference. Thinking about theft, planning also involves understanding where you're going. And to the risk factor that you mentioned, your mother-in-law is smart, because when we flew to Spain and we were going to see La Sagrada, Familia Sagrada, whatever the heck that place is, they say flat out that you will get your stuff stolen. That people will pickpocket you and they will steal from you. They will do scam things. A fake pregnant woman will fall in front of you and you'll go help her up, and then somebody steals your stuff. So, man, I don't want to get negative about all that, but boy, wherever you travel, you got to be careful, and that's part of the planning process.
No, well, I mean, it's not negative. It's just you got to be aware of those things, right? I mean, those are things you got to keep front of mind as well when you go out.
And I'll also add, there's a lot of people, and you want to plan, no question. I like to plan for a lot, but there's nothing wrong with people who want to just fly by night stuff, and that is great for a lot of people. But I would always caution people, especially when you're going like to Europe, because a lot of things require a reservation. And so you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to the Eiffel Tower when I get, and you didn't book anything because you're not going,
Yeah. Yep.
So keep that in mind too. If you can, for us, when we went to Europe, there were so many things we wanted to see. And I wanted to make sure that I saw the Leaning Tower piece and all these other things. So I did plan it, because literally everything, thankfully, worked out to the T. And we saw all the stuff we had wanted to see, which was awesome. So I say plan if you can, but if you don't be disappointed when you can't see certain things.
That's true. That's true.
No, you're right. Yeah, one thing too, James, that Grace is good at, and Gloria and others that are in the business help with, is technology, right? So like we had to go buy these little this unit. We went to Spain. I don't care. I don't know. It was all over Europe, and not everywhere in Europe has the same plugins for your chargers and your hair, your hair dryer and all that. We had to buy this multi-unit piece that we plugged in Spain, was different from when we plugged it into Italy, which was different than Greece. And so little things like that become big things when you get there and you're like, I can't plug in my hair dryer, especially for me. I mean, if I can't blow dry my hair, I mean,
it's all bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. And folks, get those, like you say, before you leave, because they're going to be ridiculously expensive if you have to wait and get it when you're actually there. I want to go to more of a foundational level about travel. And I want to ask both of you this, and it may sound funny, but it could be a religious debate, but I want to know this. How do you pack? Do you fold your clothes, or do you roll your clothes in your suitcase? And does it matter? Grace, let me ask you first. How do you pack?
It depends. So in general, like if we're just going domestic, I'll just fold it and put it in, because I just was like, oh, this will work for this. However, when we went to Europe, I rolled. I rolled not all of it, but a bunch of it. And I'm going to even go a step further and say this. When you do a trip, whether it's a cruise or land, take different bottoms, which is, I took only like 3 bottoms for a 12-day cruise. And I intermixed all my tops with those 3 bottoms and saved a ton of packing. Because if I went with like a black pair of capris, a white, and like a blue or something. And then I just swapped the tops, and it worked, because you're saving on some of that packing, so that then you could buy other stuff when you see it. That's me.
Well,
It depends. Okay.
Go ahead.
And I was going to say, and one more, and for women, like for necklaces, like when you have like a dinner, for example, I have like a standard silver chain, and I just switch out my charm. And so that's actually a big thing of what I do. Like when I travel, I look for different charms to go with different outfits.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it depends on where you're going. I mean, we just went and saw my parents in Las Vegas, and I threw some stuff in a bag and it was fine, right? I didn't really care about how I did it, and I could wear the same shorts, on Monday that I wore on Tuesday or Friday, whatever, right? And just rotate the tops and keep your undergarments fresh. And then guess what?
That's
they
a good lesson in life right there.
Yeah, that's
Tim.
a good lesson in life. and they have a washer and dryer, right? So it's not like you can't do a little bit of laundry. But I would say, Grace is right. You've got a kind of multitude of things. There's three things. You just fold and throw it in. That's one. Two, you roll everything, which is really popular, which is two. And then I've even seen some people who have stuck them in bags and vacuum sealed them and stuck them in there, which is like crazy. Like you got freeze dried food coming out of your pack. But one tip that I have to say that I learned, it's all about whatever. Like we're going to Virginia in a couple weeks to see my brother's wedding, and it's going to be cold there. And so I'm taking my jacket and a sweater and I'm layering on the plane. I'm going to wear my boots that are the most heavy shoe I'm bringing. I'm wearing it on the plane. And then I'm going to pack the lighter stuff, right? And then the other thing, layering and wearing as much as you can on the plane and then packing the rest, number one. But number two is, this is one thing that I learned quickly, and I always hate when I forget to do it, is you can stuff socks and underwear into your shoes.
In the shoes, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, that you then right. Yeah. So some of this stuff, I'm just learning about. But I'm like, heck, that saved me a lot of space here and there. So just a couple tips as it relates to packing there. So
awesome.
And another one is, I'll go with a theme too. And like when we go to Virginia, I'm not going to take a brown pair of boots and a black pair of boots. I'll work with one or the other and make sure that that's how I go. If I'm going to wear my black boots, I'll have this jacket and I'll coordinate my outfits around that so that I'm not double packing boots, double packing jackets and all the accessories and stuff. So find that color theme, I guess. That always helps too.
See, I knew it was going to be an interesting conversation. I do the same thing. I do both, depending on how long the trip is and if it's a vacation versus a work trip, right? I'm not rolling my suit, right? That's not going to happen. But I'll roll up the jeans and I'll roll up whatever shirt is and all. So okay.
Well, James, real quick before you go on. So the other thing is, and it also depends, but just as an example, people pack too much. Period.
Amen on that, brother.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. Heather says that it's hard, and summer vacations are obviously easier than winter because summer the clothes are lighter and shorts and not jeans and boots and stuff like that. But the other thing is what I stopped worrying about, like wrinkled things, because like when we get on a cruise ship, the first thing we do is empty out all of our stuff and we hang it all. And we grab whatever's important and we immediately go and iron it right away while everyone's trying to enjoy the cruise before they even set sail and all that stuff. Right. We iron our stuff before we even get going. Yeah.
So you don't even go hang out on the top deck drinking the Miami Vices like me. You're already down there in the laundry room. Okay.
No, we do. We start off and we have our drinks, right? Okay. And then you always have to go to your muster station and go listen to the whole thing. Yeah. But usually our bag will get there right before we set sail or shortly after, but we will be on the deck to set sail. Right. But before we head to dinner, as soon as we get that bag, Tim's right. We unload everything and put it away and go iron and touch up anything that needs to be done. That way you're not there every night before dinner with like 5 other people trying to do that one shirt for dinner. It's all done.
Yeah. You can't wait. You got to do it all in advance like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good tip that I'm actually going to write down because I'll do so like the formal dinners and everything. I'll do them many hours before, right? The rest of the family will be at the pool or wherever at the spa, whatever. I'll go hit the workout. I'll go get to the gym. As soon as I get done with that, maybe 5 hours before the dinner, that's when I'll go do the ironing and stuff. But I think I like what you're talking about, doing it day one after you unpack. That way you don't have to mess with it. It's already done. You don't have to worry about those long, crazy lines in that small little confined laundry area. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, and this may be jumping out of packing a bit, but even if you do a land vacation, like Gloria said, they went to Cabo a couple weeks ago. I think actually it was a while. It was in August, but when you get to that destination, unpack all your stuff, freshen stuff up, get it there, go down, meet with your person to schedule out your week. Get all that stuff done right away so that you can then enjoy it. So you said Jen and the kids and stuff are at the pool and you're up there ironing your shirt, getting ready for the dinner. Come on now. I mean,
I don't know what's going on. I have issues, and she married me 20 some years ago, and she knew what she was getting into, brother. I'm sorry. Favorite way to travel? What's your favorite vacation type? I know the answer, but I think it would be great to hear it verbally. Are you land, sea, air? What's your favorite way to travel? I started with Grace last time. Let me go with you, Tim.
No doubt that my favorite way to travel is cruising. I just think that it offers so many. I get bored in one place, except LeBlanc, Cancun. LeBlanc, Cancun, I could stay there for a month. Just for the record, LeBlanc, Cancun. So anyway, but outside of that, cruising, you get on, you unpack your stuff, and you get to hit multiple destinations, normally like a day per destination, which I love. You get in there, you kind of feel it out, you leave, you're done, etc. I think they have a ton of entertainment on the cruises, wonderful food, great service on all of the ones I've been on, from the lowest end Carnival to the highest end Celebrity. I've had awesome times just knowing what you're getting. You want to pay $600 for a Carnival cruise out of LA, you know what you're getting. And guess what? I drink and party with all those people and have a good time. And then if I pay 5 times the price on a Celebrity cruise, I know what I'm getting. A lot of wheelchairs and oxygen going around on that thing. And you know what? And that's okay. I enjoy it. The food is better. The entertainment is worse. The casino is empty. And that's okay, right?
For you, that's a good thing, right? Because you don't have a problem getting to your table. There you go.
That's a good thing. But just to cut to the chase, the flexibility and ease of a cruise to me is just fantastic. And whether it's Alaska, which is not a beachy one, or the Caribbean, which is a beachy one, you name it, I'm telling you. And then there are some drawbacks to cruises, like the rooms are somewhat small if you don't get a suite and other things. And so, but 99% of the time, I mean, I'm all in cruise, is my deal.
Grace, what about you?
I also love a cruise. Like Gloria said, your hotel follows you. And Heather said, you get to see so many different places. And I think that's probably why I like a cruise the most is you can see so many different sites. Like when we did Europe, it was a 12-day cruise. And you got to see, oh, I want to go back there. And maybe that's where you decide to do a land cruise. Like you're going to say, you know what? I loved Venice, for example. Let's just say, it's an example, but I did love it. And you say, I'd like to go back there and stay longer. And doing a cruise gives you that opportunity to do that. Like, when you're in the Caribbean, I think 7 Mile Beach in the Cayman Islands is just amazing. That water is just beautiful. And that's what allows you to do that. However, I mean, I love land trips too. I mean, The one thing I don't like about travel, but I do it all the time, I hate to fly, but I do it because I love to travel.
It's a means to an end, right?
That's
It's
right.
one of those weird catch-22s. Okay, yeah,
Yes, but you know what? I just love travel in general. But I gotta say, cruising is probably my favorite. You unpack once,
yeah,
you see
yeah,
all these different places,
yeah.
and I'm gonna take it. I love the dining experience too.
Speaking of
Just
the
hit it
dining
on the head.
experience, yeah, there's the
Look,
dining
just hit it on the
experience.
head right there. Let me tell you something. That little soft freeze and then pizza at any time. Where's Isaiah at? Man, he and I have hit those pizza spots. Man. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's true. And I guess maybe that's a good way we could go into dining. Like,
Yeah,
you
Ooh,
know,
yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
before we do that, though, James, what do you think? What do you got? What's your favorite?
So I'm the exact same way as literally both of you, and it's almost like I've known you for almost 30 years of my life, but like we are left brain, right brain. But I love cruising. I do. Some folks don't like it because they feel confined. Either they don't like. I don't like boats at all. I'm not a water boat guy. Little boats and me. I had an experience back in my early teens that has still traumatized me. And look, brothers, it's not good. But when they throw the stabilizers out on those large cruise ships, I'm good. I'll pop whatever it is, the Dramamine or whatever, and I have no issues as well. I've been on some pretty rough seas before and haven't gotten sick because I've prepared, planned, and knew how to deal with it. I mean, yeah, the fact that you've got 24-hour access to food, 24-hour access to to drink, and gambling. As soon as you hit the international waters, you can go out there and try your luck with Lady Luck. But again, the getting to some of those destinations. So we actually had an experience when we were going to Europe last year, and I think we told you guys about this. We flew from Sacramento on our way to the East Coast to jump on the next flight, the international flight. When we left, where was it? Where was it? It was Utah. As we were taking off from Utah, we got a bird strike. We got a Captain Scully bird strike. We, the one that he had to pull the plane down in the middle of the Hudson River. So we got one of those. Being in the military, so Tim, I think you and I can kind of agree with this. So we've been in planes a lot, but when we hit them damn birds, and I felt the pilot literally pull the accelerator back and almost literally stop in midair, I knew something was definitely wrong. And I said every Hail Mary. I looked over at my family and said, this might be it, y'all. But I didn't say it out loud. But it was definitely dramatic. It was definitely severe. Pilot had to turn the plane back. We had to go back to Utah. And as we were walking out, we could see the remains of a flock of seagulls in all of the plane's engines, the front windshield. The pilot couldn't see out of his front windshield, so he had to land using instruments. It was dramatic in and of itself, just to feel the extent of the hit and then to feel the reaction of the plane and then to have to know that we were going back and then everyone's reaction. So I hate that. I'm not a turbulence guy. I don't care about turbulence. Turbulence, I've been through all of that. But man, when you get hit by some birds and your plane gets racked, that's no fun.
But James,
yeah.
to that, but my friend, to that story,
Yeah.
you can't leave the day before to get to your trip, especially if it's a cruise. Now, Europe may or may not be a cruise,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't leave. You have to give yourself time for stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
so because we were literally stuck in Utah for, I think it was 24 hours, right? They couldn't. It was late at night, and again, we were traveling to Europe, so they couldn't find another plane that was ready, so they had to put us up in a hotel. So we did leave early in advance because we wanted to spend enough time up front. But if we hadn't thought about just what if, just in case something goes down, yeah, we lost half a day in Paris and France and all of that. But irregardless, the consequence could have been we were in the middle of the desert, the Moab, whatever.
Well, You're right. Losing a half a day in Paris is different than if your cruise was leaving Paris that morning and you
Yeah.
missed that first thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's the problem. Like the best thing I've ever done, and it's not always possible. We did it twice. We drove to the cruise port in Maryland and took a cruise, and we parked our car. We were in Richmond, Virginia, drove to Maryland, and boom, we were off. That was so nice. And then we drove to Long Beach once, and then took the cruise out of Long Beach. And just driving takes so much stress off.
Yeah.
But it's not always possible, obviously.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. So Grace, you were going to talk about the food part. There's always good food. But my family too. I think before, doesn't matter where we are. We could be in Hawaii. We can be in Europe or wherever. Wake up in the morning before you even say hello to everyone. What are we eating for dinner today? What are we having for lunch? Like, hey, anybody doing anything else? But let's talk about the food, especially the food on cruises, since we kind of lean towards that mode of travel. It's different, right? And you got to be aware and prepared for that, unless you want to upgrade and sit at the captain's table and get, or at that other special little steak restaurant on the cruise, if you want to pay for that as well. But the whole buffet thing, it's a little bit different. Grace, tell us a little bit about how you feel about that.
Well, you have the buffets. You can always eat at a buffet at any, they have their breakfast, they have the lunch, they have the dinner. You could do anytime dining, and you just go and eat whenever you want to, which is great for those who don't want to commit to a time. And depending on where you're cruising and what you're doing, maybe you'll be off the ship, because some cruises you'll stay in a port till late at night. So, anytime dining works as well. And we've done that before. I personally love to have a set dining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they give you two options, and personally, I prefer the earlier one, just to have the dinner, because my big thing is I love having the wait staff over and over, because they get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have that great, I don't know, they know what you like, whether, you want this salad or that. And I love that. And they're fun, and you have a good time, and you always look forward to your dinner. And there's a late version too, which is great if you just got back on the ship and you want to take your time getting to dinner. I personally like the earlier ones, and I can go catch the next show. Sometimes if you like to eat later, they're great as well, but then you catch an earlier show or something. I like to eat earlier and get to the shows in the casino. That's
wait. She's so full of it. She says to get to the shows and then the casino. There ain't no shows.
Yes, there is.
So we just cut right through that.
Cut right to the casino. As soon as you hit the water, as soon as they pull the ropes off of the casino, saying, I'm right there at the craps table. Oh, it's okay. Blackjack. No.
That is funny. Grace says, I like to go to the show and then the casino. That's Hey, so we got a good one there right here, right? So, I mean, this is, when you talk about, because I wanted to mention this too about the alcohol, bringing alcohol on, especially on a cruise. You can bring 2 bottles of alcohol or 2 bottles of wine on a cruise.
Bottles of wine. Well, you can bring a lot of, so go ahead. I'll let you, because I have a story about that too.
Just real quick, and we always buy the bottles normally in the city where we're at versus trying to bring them. Although we've packed them as well if we want to. But these are the details. You can bring 2 bottles of wine. The other thing that Grace found out once is that you can pre-order a couple cases of bottled water, and they'll have them in your room before you get there. And again, I know we're talking a lot about cruises, but you can also do this when you're on a land vacation as well. Just go buy a few things and bring it with you. So I just think those are important. But go ahead, James. What were you going to say?
No, so wine, and I believe it's a case of soda. If that's, and you can bring all of that as well. But Here's the catch. Remember to keep those with you and don't turn those into the folks that check luggage, because if you don't have it with you, you'll lose it. My parents actually bought a couple of bottles of wine and they forgot to have it on their person. So they checked it with their luggage that goes through the scanners and everything. They couldn't keep it. They had to actually dump it out before it got on the ship. So they lost 2 great bottles of wine. So
because you have to kind of declare it.
You got to declare it,
in
yeah.
your person, like Paul saying, Yep. So you could pack it in your luggage to get to the destination, then unpack it, put it in your carry-on when you then go onto the cruise ship itself. Yeah.
And remember, you have to be 21, so it has to be 2 adults in the room. It can't.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't take your 12-year-old on a cruise and assume you can bring 2 bottles of wine. It's just one per the adult.
One per adult.
Yeah, and like Tim said, because normally we fly to a cruise port, we do carry. We'll get to wherever we're at, buy the wine there, and then just bring it on with us in our carry-on bag.
That's true.
Yeah, and then we got the travel agent Gloria checking us here for fact checking. She's fact checking.
That's all good. Keeping us on point here. Grace, you brought up something about kids. Let me ask. I got 2 more kind of questions, and I'm loving just funneling these questions to you guys because you guys have all a little bit more experience traveling with kids versus traveling just you 2 versus traveling with seniors, and the planning of that. Right? I mean, you've got to be prepared for the whole different dynamic of. I've got underage folks that I'm traveling with, so keeping them in line or being aware of them. And then if you got seniors, right, do you have someone who maybe needs to get on early because they need to get a wheelchair or something to get on the plane, or being aware of excursions that you're booking because maybe not everyone can go. Someone needs to stay on the ship and someone needs to stay with them. Your thoughts on that, Grace? Let me ask you: have you had to go through some of those experiences?
So, with the kids, yes, because when you take kids, it's different. And let's be real, there are adults that act like kids. So, we have to deal with that too. I think that's one of the things I love about a cruise. When if you do an excursion, it's okay to do, to break up, I guess. Like, well, not with us. Like, we always had the kids with us on our excursions. I mean, they're like, let's go, whatever we were doing. But that's what I love about a cruise is, it really does accommodate. You could say, okay, the wheelchair will go in the elevator, and you tell everyone, hey, we'll meet you on that floor and we're taking the stairs. and that's what you do. We're very good about that. We tend to take the stairs at all times on a cruise so that we allow the elevators to be there for people who need them. Now, very seldom do we actually take an elevator, right, Tim? I mean, we're always doing stairs in general. But again,
you're just trying to work off that. You're just trying to work off that 3 a.m. pizza. That's what you're trying to do.
Exactly. And there's excursions that are wheelchair accessible, which is great. And with the kids, there's age limits. They'll tell you can't go swim at the stingrays if you're not over a certain age, and that's always good. So I love it because there's something for everybody. There's kids clubs. Kids could meet other kids and hang out. I know my kids to this day still have friends from when they were like 11 and 14 or something.
So your kids actually like the kids club? Because my kid, look, Isaiah hated it because he was right between that age of, I got to either hang with the younger kids, and that was no fun for him, or 1 year away or 6 months away from being able to hang with Jordan and his older cousin. So he was right in that middle, and he had to hang with the babies instead of.
Okay, that one age right there is hard, because you're right. They're either not there, but they're still here. So, and I'll say this, I liked cruising years ago because back then nobody had the internet. So the kids actually had to go and talk and hang out. Now you'll be walking down and everyone's like, playing on their phones because everyone got the internet package.
Yeah.
Well, James, too, and here's the thing. So you have your couples trip, you have your family trip, and then you have an extended friend and family trip. Those are the 3 trips. They all have their values. They all have their drama. And I'll just say, to whether it's mom talking about using the bathroom. Well, so do I. I use the bathroom like every other half an hour because I drink a lot of bottled water, right? So, I mean, and those types of things. But as long as you know what you're doing, just like I said, as long as you know if you're on a $400 Carnival cruise or a $5,000 Celebrity, as long as you know what you're getting into and you think about it in advance, it's fine. I know I'm going with Grace and we're doing our thing. Or I know I'm going with my family and I got to take care of the kids. The kids are my priority. Or if I went on a cruise with Revy and his family, we went to Alaska, and I know that we have to be accommodative and help and support his mother and do what she wants to do and do what Revy's kids want to do, not just what my kids want to do, and those types of things. So at the end of the day, as long as you know where you're going, who you're with, and you think through it in advance, you just have to adjust. And frankly, I'd go with anybody right now. Like, I'm about to go in my backyard and sit in the sun. I mean, this is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you on that whole thing. World, I got one thing that I'm saving for the end. Look at Mom's got comfortable there in the.
I know she's lounging and stuff
at the you know, the Butterini Estates there. Mom is kicking back. I love it. What did we leave out? I mean, we planned, we got there, we saw all the pros and cons and the negatives of preparation, talked about destinations. Speaking of destinations, let's take cruises out of it. Let's say we're flying somewhere, we're driving somewhere. Where do you guys typically stay? Is it like a regular hotel, Airbnbs? You know, what's your thoughts on some of that? Because again, those communal communities, again, the Airbnbs and the VRBOs, they're pretty popular right now, and you can actually get some pretty decent locations and deals on that. Grace, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you definitely, if you could get a great deal, I would, stay wherever, as long as you're at your destination on time, whatever works for you is best. Everyone has different things of what they like. Personally, ironically, every time we go to certain locations, I don't find that, because I've looked on Airbnb and all the others, they're not a lot cheaper by the time you have to add the cleaning fee and all. I'm like, well, that didn't really do a whole lot, and it's not going to save me a ton to make it worth it. So I tend to just go to a hotel. But I think they're all great. Whatever works that's cheaper. I think if you want to stay in a place, if you're there for a few days before, then by all means do an Airbnb if that works. A lot of times I just go by the location or whatever, and I just find really good deals on hotels. So
yeah. And especially, well, I would say take advantage because you guys, and I know, take advantage of points and rewards and things like that. So take advantage if you got those programs, use that a lot too, right?
Sign up for those. I mean, I think a great cheap hotel, and it's always clean, I've never had an issue, is Holiday Inn Expresses are fantastic. They're clean, the beds are comfy. You used to get a breakfast, I'm sure you can't now, and you get on their rewards program, because it's not just Holiday Inn, it's Holiday Inn Express, it's Hotel Indigo, where we stay a lot in LA when we go to Disneyland. And you get great deals and your rooms are cheaper. So make sure you take advantage of rewards programs at hotels and so forth.
Yeah.
And I like to have my beds made every day, honestly. That's my big thing. That's like what I love about cruises.
Yeah.
I love that room being made up twice a day.
With the fancy little elephant in your, whatever they make with the towels. Tim, before you answer, let me bring up this question from Heather and have Grace answer this, even though she's stuck in mid.
Yeah, she may be frozen out there. I don't know.
She may be frozen. Oh my! She got so excited there, and she froze herself.
She sure did.
Oh my God, that's all right. I won't embarrass her and leave her there, but she does have to come back near the end because I've got something kind of special I want to talk to her about.
Got it.
So what do we
So,
leave out, brother? Talk to us. Go ahead.
well,
It's all you.
yeah, just I'm a hotel guy too. I like the beds made. I like all that stuff, and we've done a kind of a rental in San Diego where we had a kitchen and stuff, and I'll let Gloria go check on her. She's probably wanting this to get over so she get some rays, get some sun. But what we've left out is just really fundamental, and that is enjoy experiences. Forget about the travel, forget about where you're going, and I just think that we don't talk enough about using travel to create memories for you and your friends and family and things like that. And that may be cliche, but I can tell you, my kids remember every Disneyland trip. They remember Alaska. They remember every cruise detail. But I bet you if I was to ask my daughter right now, what was your favorite Christmas gift of 2019? She would have no idea. She would have no idea. She doesn't even know what we got her for 2019, but she'll remember the trip. So anyway, she's back. She's back. Anyway, that's all I want to say is experiences. Don't wait too long to get things done. I've got some friends that say, I'm going to travel when I retire. Well, you don't even know if you're going to be around when you retire, right? You could get hit by a proverbial bus. So, you got to trickle in some travel while you can and things like that, I think is important.
Yeah. Grace, you good? You back?
I'm back. I had to switch on different Wi-Fi, so.
No worries. So I want to bring this question back while you're back because you've got more expertise on this. And Heather was asking, what do you think about cruising and how it's going to be different now that we have COVID?
Well, they're now talking, so it'll be different. I mean, I just think everything obviously is going to be different. They're talking about doing the 5-minute testing before you get on, which would be great. And I think a good pilot, and this has been being talked about, is doing the 5-minute testing and maybe cruising around. Like, let's say if you're in the Caribbean, for example, and you have all those private islands, you could just stop at the private island. Like, you're not going into an actual country, and just cruise around to get back on sea and doing like maybe a 4-day trip that way. So that they're talking about doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think, James, with COVID, at the end of the day, some of these cruise ships, they were dealing with a COVID environment before. Yeah. Right. I forget what was the issue that they always had where people get sick. I forget what the illness is.
The neurovirus thing.
Yeah. Thanks, honey. Yeah. The neurovirus. Right. So some cruises, you wash your hands before you can even walk through the buffet.
Right.
They have glass. If you're sick, stay in your room. All that. We didn't have masks, but that may be the future. But I still think it'll get back. It may not be exactly the same as it was before. Fingers crossed for sure. But it will. We will get back to being able to travel. I don't know if masks are permanent. I don't know if testing is permanent. I don't know if we have a therapy or vaccinations and all that other stuff. But eventually, it may not be a year from now, but if you launch yourself 2-3 years from now, you're going to get on a cruise ship and say, what was SARS again? Was that SARS thing? What was that going on? Or at least I hope. I hope.
I agree, brother, because all of us were literally supposed to be in Alaska for 10, 12 days a couple of months ago, and that's a huge miss. Hopefully that comes back because I still need to do that with you guys, with everyone that was planning to go. So the world will come back around and we'll be able to get back out there and do it. And at the end of the day, I think that was the idea behind today's show. I saw someone was asking, what was the purpose of today's show? Was it travel tips or whatever the case may be? And that's what it is, right? Tim and I come with our perspective. We kind of been there, done that. We don't know everything, but we know something. and just some ideas that to keep in mind and not to take some things for granted. You know, the planning pieces, the aspect of knowing where you're going before you get there. Know that it's going to be some delays, and what do you do if you have a delay? If you lose your luggage, make sure you got that peanut butter sandwich in your pocket so you have something to eat. And just knowing, because if you're aware and you're prepared for it, just like everything in life, we've talked about business, we talked about finance, we talked about insurance. You know, those are the kinds of things you plan and you got to be aware of as well. But travel, it's a great excursion, it's a great experience, but make sure that you are prepared for it before you get on there, so you can have 90% of the time enjoyable as opposed to chaos and chaos.
Very true. Very true. And we'll get back to it, man. It's a lot of fun. And again, we talk travel, and travel doesn't have to be dramatic, right? It can be a little quick getaway weekend. We can't discount a little backpacking trip or a little camping trip or things like that. I mean, you know, you can't discount that. You don't have to have it all be dramatic with big old Europe or Australia trips or whatever. So anyway, we'll get back.
Yeah. You know, go ahead, Grace.
And that's a good point. Go see your local parks. Go see your local,
Yep.
you know, state parks or national parks, because you're out in the outdoors, and it's a great time to do that. You know, how many people live in California and haven't been to Yosemite?
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to see, and it's a great time to get out and do those.
Well, yeah. And speaking of great time, Gloria is spot on. I mean, yes, I agree. Wearing your mask and your tennies, rolling along, but Gloria is spot on that there are some, if you are comfortable, mega discounts going on right now. Number one, on land and cruises, tons of deep discounts that you can book into 2022,
Yeah.
right? Those types of things. And frankly, there's a lot of places that aren't full. She said she went to Cabo recently. We debriefed her trip to Cabo and had a cocktail, and what they did in Cabo was phenomenal. It was very COVID friendly, meaning that it was cared for from a COVID perspective, and it was at like 20. I think it was at like 20% capacity. 20% capacity. So good deals now, if you're comfortable. You know, obviously, if you have some conditions today, you need to be cautious of it and all that good stuff.
Travel is something that brings us all together, and I think I want to close today with something pretty cool. I got an email yesterday, and I think this email sums up exactly what I want to say to everyone watching, and especially to you, Grace and Tim. So here, I'm going to read the email for verbatim. Hopefully I don't mess it up. I'm going to be looking over here at the page. So it says, "Hi, James. Travel and holidays, don't we love them? For some people, holidays is a regular or seasonal thing to do, especially if holidaying within your own country. For others who may have never traveled abroad in their lives, finally take the big step and after many years decide to do that big holiday. This is what we actually did back in 2016. After my wife was detected with breast cancer and finally won the battle with the booger, she decided life was too short and we needed to finally do that big holiday. We traveled throughout Europe, visiting several countries and going to check out our heritage. Prior to leaving for our holiday, I met this lovely lady on the internet, and she was arranging some shore excursions to do with the cruise. I stayed in contact with her, and we arranged that the four of us would catch up in Venice for some pizza and wine prior to our cruise. Eventually, we met at a restaurant, and we clicked like a house on fire. We ended up spending most of that cruise holiday with them and had the most wonderful time. Finally, when we had to depart and say our goodbyes, we swapped details and numbers, but I thought that's it. We will never see them again. We arrived back home in Australia and we stayed in contact and had several Skype communications over the next 18 months or so, and we decided we wanted to holiday in the States. This couple invited us to stay with them, and they arranged a whole American holiday for us, and they traveled with us throughout the whole holiday as I was turning the big 6-0. We still stay in contact with them and hoping one day we will all meet up again. They have become our second family, and we love them. It's amazing how things work out in life, and if I have never gone on the internet looking up excursions, maybe we would never have met. But then again, maybe it was meant to be. So thank you, Tim and Grace Butterini, for coming into our lives and making those last 2 holidays the best times of our lives, especially the U.S. celebrating my 60th birthday. Anna still says today it's the longest birthday she has ever known someone to have. Love you guys. Lotto. That's for y'all.
Wow. That's crazy. Crazy way to end it. You got Grace teared up. You got me kind of sniffling. I mean, it's your point is a good one, which is, you know, if you open up your hearts and travel and enjoy people and vacations, you know, you can really, I mean, literally Vlado and Anna are one of our closest friends, and we met them on a 25-year cruise. I mean, I bet everybody could say the same thing. What a great story. I'm glad Vlado sent that. Very sweet.
That's very sweet. And just so that they know, we will be coming to Australia.
Yeah, our 30th. Well, yeah, we have our 30th wedding anniversary is next year. So in about a year from now, in November of 2021, our plan is to spend 3 weeks in Australia, most of the time with them too. So
yes,
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I know the poor guy, it's like 4:30 in the morning over there, and he was working the night shift. He was going to try to join, but I guess they got him working. So that sucks.
Yeah. I was chatting with him last night, and so I glad that both of you were on to experience that, and I'll forward you this email from him.
That's sweet.
Aww,
very sweet.
That's so sweet. Well, everybody enjoy traveling. Go see some new places, experience it, and do it when you can. Once we open up, the travel industry really will need a lot of help, just like the restaurants have. And you know, it's just so important. I want to travel. I want new experiences, and I want to meet more wonderful people.
I'm gonna spend every single penny of my child's experience, their inheritances.
That's right. Alec not getting nothing. All right, y'all. We good? Y'all be good to yourselves. Go out there and hit that grill.
Yeah.
Mama, go and get them raisins. It was great to see you. We'll talk to you soon. We out.
All right. Peace.
Yeah.
Wait